What is happening, fam? No matter what happens to us in life, we can see it as an adventure. We could see it as the hero's journey, which we are on, which all of us are on. And what's awesome about this is it doesn't matter what we go through. We are all on our own individual hero's journey. It doesn't matter if you're the most privileged kid in the world. It doesn't matter if you have nothing. Anything can attribute to this hero's journey that we were on, because the hero's journey, made famous by Joseph Campbell, has, it seems to summarize and encapsulate everything we go through in life. It's up to us to heed the call and to embark on the adventure and to overcome the difficulties. And throughout my 20s, dealing with chronic back pain, what has helped me out a lot is seeing it as my hero's journey, as seeing these difficult years as being in the cave, in the strange world. Because with every hero's journey, you got to fight the dragon. You go through all the stages, which I'll walk through, but the hero comes out in the end, and they're changed because of the challenges that they went through. They're never going to be the same, and they're better for it. Better, better off than those people who, they get the call. They hear, the call to adventure. They have to embark on the challenge, but they don't take it up because it's too scary. It's too difficult. It's too dark. And maybe they'll have to go at it alone, and they decide it's not worth going. So they stay in the world that they know. Well, today I was talking to my dear friend Santana and had quite the revelation, as usually happens on these phone calls with my best friends. I've been telling him about this spiritual odyssey that I've been on. To sum it up, for the last 6 years, I've dealt with chronic back pain. And I have thought this whole time that it's been a physical problem that I've had. And I've treated it as physical throughout the years. I've tried what seems like every different practice modality to treat the pain, from chiropractor, orthopedics, general practitioners, Rolfing, physical therapy, acupuncture, all the things I've done. Yeah, I have all the devices and the foam rollers, and I've tried different training programs, but nothing has gotten to the root of this chronic pain. And through my MRIs, nothing really shows up either. I have a herniated disc, which is pretty common. At 30 years old, about 40% of people with zero back pain have a herniated disc, and that just increases as we get older. So it's pretty natural. Nothing really comes up, and that is quite common for a lot of chronic pain conditions. It's chronic and seems unsolvable because there's nothing to attack. There's nothing to fix. And it's like, how do I approach this? And it's quite perplexing. And everything has changed in the last 3 weeks since, by divine intervention, by a series of stars aligning, I have realized that it's an emotional thing that I'm dealing with. It's what the man, Dr. John Sarno, my man, called TMS, but more commonly referred to as mind-body syndrome. And the philosophy is that the brain, which creates pain, all pain is in the brain, creates physical pain in the body to distract us from the negative emotions that dwell in our unconscious. And if they were to rise, they would create havoc in our lives. So the brain, trying to protect us, creates real pain in the body. So the pain is real. It deprives oxygen to certain tissues and muscles and creates real pain to distract us, because if we were to let these emotions come to the surface, it would potentially ruin our lives. So the brain thinks, let's create a distraction, physical pain. They'll deal with that and not have to deal with the emotional pain. There is many books on this. Dr. John Sarno has three. I've read the first two so far. Well, kind of went out of order. There's three that he wrote on this condition, which he called TMS, tension myositis syndrome, which pretty much means tension, conflict in your muscles. And the books are Healing Back Pain, which can actually be found as a YouTube video. You could listen to the whole thing. It's like 3.5 hours, which I did. So just look up Healing Back Pain, Dr. John Sarno. The first one that he wrote was called The Mind Body Prescription, I believe. And I'm just starting that now. It gives a good overview of what the mind body condition is. Like I said, brain creating real physical pain in your body to distract you from emotional pain. And these chronic conditions, it's not just back pain. It's pretty much anything, illnesses and pains and things in the body that we can't really explain and that don't seem to be fixed by any normal problem, by normal solutions in the medical field. And the third one is called The Divided Mind by Dr. John Sarno. I think that one is the most thorough, goes the deepest in the psychology, how there's three different parts of our self, kind of going into Freudian psychology. So there's the id, the ego, and the superego, and they are in conflict inside of us. And that's essentially the child is the id. It's got the id here, narcissistic child, just looking out for themselves. The ego is the adult. That's us. That's the captain of the ship. It's trying to be a real adult in society. Then you got the parent, the superego, the conscience, which wants to not just be a good person, but a perfect person, a saint. And the id and the parent, the child and the parent, are what are usually in most conflict. And that creates stress in the body. The point of this video is not exactly to go deep into that stuff. I've made other videos on it, and as I learn more about it, I will keep sharing because it's incredibly fascinating, especially because I'm healing my body through learning about this stuff. The emotional pain that dwells within each of us, really. And it's hard not to get into it because I want to explain their emotional pain. Say it's like the ocean, and there's three major rivers which feed into the ocean of emotional pain. And that is childhood traumas, childhood anger, suppressed or repressed emotions that come from childhood, which I've realized I have a lot of and I'm not properly dealt with. So that's what I'm in the process of doing now. Then you got everyday stressors, the stress of everyday life, which obviously creates a lot of anxiety and stress within our system, nervous system, that it's hard to get on top of, really. And the third is our personality traits, the type of person we are. And the people who tend to get chronic pain have a lot of great qualities on the surface. Perfectionists, they're goodists, so they put other people before themselves. They have a pretty harsh inner critic, so they're the hardest on themselves. They're very responsible. Maybe they care for their parents or their children, and they want to be the best parent or the best child that they could be. They're disciplined. All these things that, when in conflict with the id, create stress in our body. So on the surface, it's like you're doing great, you're responsible, you're disciplined, you have a good job, everything's going well. But then underneath the surface, it's like you are struggling. You need to look out for yourself. You just want to stay home. You don't want to do this stuff. And it feels selfish, to just think about our kind of narcissistic inclinations, but they are real. That's the animal, the primitive part of our being. And we don't necessarily even need to reconcile these three parts of our self. You can't really, even if you tried, because they're always going in and out of, they're not three distinct parts of our soul. They are acting as one. And that is who we are at all times. It's hard to differentiate all three, but you could have one thought and all three will show up in that thought. For instance, you get invited to a party, a friend invites you out, and you haven't seen them in a long time. The id, the child inside of you is like, I do not want to go to this. I just want to stay home and watch a movie by myself. I don't want to see anybody. The adult, the ego, the self is like, you should go. You've haven't seen this friend in a while and you want to, right? Like it'll be fun. You should be socializing. And then the parent, the super ego, is like, oh, you're a terrible friend. You haven't seen this person in a long time. You don't want to go. Like, what's wrong with you? Um, so that's pretty much one scenario where all three are in conflict. So, anyways, I'm on the spiritual odyssey. It's been 3 weeks of learning about the emotional side, about uncovering my emotional pain and getting to the root of my pain. And there's many different ways to do this. I suggest reading about it for starters. Dr. John Sarno's books, great place to start. That explains everything. Start with Healing Back Pain, the YouTube video. It's fantastic. And if you're more interested, The Divided Mind and the Mind Body Prescription. Thousands of people he's healed. Thousands of people. Started in 70s. It's still a very esoteric and kind of shunned or underexposed thing in the medical field, where the mind actually creates pain in the body. Because I'm one of these people, we want to fix ourselves physically. We want to go to the doctor and say, this was wrong. This is what's wrong. I have back pain. Can you fix me? Can you crack me or give me a pill or tell me at least what is wrong? And then that's will make me feel better, right? It's like, no, you actually have a lot of emotional pain and anger deep inside of you, and that's why you have back pain. Probably don't want to hear that, right? Because that's a harder thing to hear. You don't really know what to do with it, and you might be in denial because we don't know that we have that emotional a just a bunch of anger stored deep inside of us. So it's hard to accept. It's hard to know what to do with, but just learning about it is the way to start healing. Thousands of people have healed just from reading the books. And then you can take it a step further. I've started therapy, and then I have a journaling meditation practice and using the app Curable to keep me on track to learn about this stuff. So there is a direct route to heal the emotional pain, and just realizing there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong structurally with your body, because we're all broken spiritually. I mean, we all have trauma. We all have wounds. And we're supposed to. That's what life is. You can't get out of childhood unscathed, for starters. But that's what makes it beautiful. But just realizing that our bodies aren't broken. If you can't figure out physically what this chronic pain is, the body is what's not. The body's not broken. And we have to treat the mind, the heart, the soul to get to the root of the pain. This leads me into what I actually want to talk about here, which is the hero's journey. So for the last 6 years, as I've learned about the hero's journey, I thought I've been in the cave, in the belly of the whale, as he says. Joseph Campbell in 1949 wrote The Hero with 1,000 Faces and made famous The Hero's Journey. And it's the classic mythological tale. Think about Star Wars. Think about anything. The Lion King, Shrek, any really story that you could think of with a main hero. They go through the hero's journey. So it starts with the hero is in the normal world, and it could be anything. It could be the world of Star Wars. It could be Harry Potter, anything like that. And the boy, the girl, the hero gets a call to adventure. And this can take many different forms, but something calls to them and says, there's more out there. You could leave this world that you know, because something about the world that you're in is not for you. and you've been chosen. Will you heed the call? I thought I took the call for the adventure, and it's been a mixture of, being in this. So the hero goes to the next world. It's a strange world. It could be a very lonely world. It's a dark world. Maybe it's the underworld, as it often is. Dante's Inferno. The hero goes to the underworld. And I thought that I was already in that world. I've been battling this chronic pain. It's been 6 years. I've been trying all these different things. It's like nobody really knows what I'm going through. It's hard to explain. And I'm like, but eventually things will turn around. I will emerge from this. I'll be better for it. And I could help other people who are going through this. Because the hero returns back to the world they knew with a gift to share with the world: knowledge, wisdom. And it's interesting. It's cool because, like, the call to adventure was also me leaving home, coming to Japan, embarking on my dreams and kind of going for my dreams while also battling this chronic pain. And in a lot of ways, it's been very difficult, being out here on my own, figuring out what life is all about, trying to find meaning. And something about the original world is not right. That's why the hero leaves. They feel like there's more out there. There's something deeper. And that's why some divine being calls them into this new world. And it's up to us to heed it. So, the revelation of the day, Santana, thank you. He told me, Vinny, you've been refusing the call this whole time. Now you've embarked on the adventure. Because the part after the call to adventure is the refusal of the call. The hero doesn't just accept. Think about I'll use Star Wars. He has to leave his home. I don't know too well. I'm thinking about Luke Skywalker and the old ones. Has to leave his home, and he doesn't want to, right? And he refuses the call. Like, I can't do that. I can't leave home. I have to care for my family. I have to do this. I have to do that. So you refuse it, and then something makes it unrefusable, if you will. I haven't even been in the adventure yet. This was still the comfortable world. It took me hitting rock bottom to finally heed the call and go on the adventure inside of me. It's not like the adventure was out there. That's still comfortable to me. That is what I've always wanted to do. I've always wanted to travel. I could travel by myself and have a great time. Check out the video, Why You Should Travel Solo. I love it. That's not uncomfortable. And I was just managing the back pain on top of going for my dreams and doing these things. But I've refused to see this pain as psychological, as emotional, because it was easier to treat it as a physical thing. I've refused the call for 6 years, saying, well, I'll tell you this. My mom has always said that she thinks it's emotional, and she's usually right. And I just kept, I'm like, no, I just can't. I get what you're saying, but I can't be emotional. Like, I have back pain. And I just didn't want to believe it, and kept refusing. And I was here, and it took me getting to my lowest point to accept. And that is when the supernatural aid comes into play. The refusal of the call. And then the hero gets the supernatural aid and says, you're coming. I'm now in the strange world. I'm in Tokyo. I moved here to Tokyo, and for a long time, well, it's only been a month and a half. First couple of weeks, I was like, what am I doing here? I don't really know. I'm in this neighborhood on the outskirts of Tokyo by myself. I just didn't really know why I'm here. And I hadn't had the big set of flare-ups yet that caused me to go on this emotional journey. And I didn't know what I was doing here. And sure, it was a strange world, but it wasn't the strange world of the hero's journey yet. And had the flare-ups, and then reached out to somebody, and I was directed by some stars aligning to my supernatural aid. And it's this woman who is kind of my spirit guide on this quest. And it's crazy. Think about it. Think about your life if you are living it. And there's a hero's journey in there. And if it doesn't fit yet, then you are still in the normal world. And there's a call out there waiting for you. Better believe it. Be open to it. And now you will be, because now your reticular activator will be looking for your call to adventure. So now I'm in the strange world, and now it all makes sense. I'm in Tokyo for this very reason, to heal myself, to heal my emotional self. I couldn't, for a while I was debating going back to Los Angeles, where I'm from, to be with my family and friends and just like dedicate the time to healing what I still thought was a physical structural problem. And I debated it. I'm like, then I'd be giving up my time in Japan. I only have this much longer on my visa. It seemed like it was a tough decision. But I stayed thinking that I can heal no matter what happens. I can heal while pursuing my dreams. I can heal while living out there in the world and doing something that matters to me. I can do it. And it's all aligned for this, to get to Tokyo, to be on my own, because I think it's nice to have some separation from my family right now, to really see myself, because there's a lot of childhood stuff that I'm working through, to not feel like I'm that little kid right now, but to be able to see it from a kind of removed perspective. I think being around my family would be a little bit more difficult. So I'm on the other side of the world and talk to them every day, but it's like it all had to happen exactly as it has. And as the hero's journey progresses, a new set of challenges arise. You enter the new world, you have supernatural aid, and maybe you're in the belly of the whale. You're in this new place, and you might be on your own, as I am physically. Spiritually, I'm not. And I do have many people to lean on and count on. But things in life, a lot of the times, we're going to have to go at it alone. Which kind of leads me to my next point. Trusting your gut. Trusting your gut. With telling people now that I've realized that the pain is emotional, it's psychological, that I have to heal inside of me, and that will heal my physical pain. I don't know how people feel about it, really. But when I learned about the mind-body syndrome, what I've read in these books, how I've seen other people healing from it. There's countless stuff on YouTube if you look it up. Mind-body syndrome, TMS, Dr. John Sarno. There's a lecture on there, which is awesome. Everything tells me that this is right. That looking back at my childhood, I realized that there's so many things that I've not properly worked through yet, or really even acknowledged or seen or been angry about, because we have to be angry to get over these things. Things don't go away, not from childhood anger, until we face them. That's facing the dragon, ultimately, on the hero's journey. I could have traveled all around the world, living my life, going for my dreams, and I would have still had this lingering back pain because I didn't go the one place that was with me all along, and that's inside of me. I didn't turn within truly and deeply, because I have over the years, but not like this. I've changed my life drastically, going into dedicating this time to turning inward, and it's not easy. It's not easy. It's every day I'm dealing with the greatest challenges that I've faced in life, questioning them, but it's also helping me see how absolutely beautiful and just wild this experience in this life is, and that everyone's doing the best they can. And this this facing these things while also seeing them in my present state is an interesting situation. Like facing them and thinking about that kid I was. Basically, a big question to ask about childhood trauma and pain is if you had your child, someone you love and care about, would you want them to go through what you did? And anything that you wouldn't want them to go through, that's part of that well of suppressed emotion. Anything that makes a child not be a child, responsibilities and pain. That stuff doesn't go away until we face it. But trusting your gut. I know because of how I feel that this is it. And I'm feeling better. Like the pain is going away. And I feel like I have control over it. And it could take months, could take, I don't know how long. That's not the point. All we have is today, day by day. We can overcome these challenges that seem insurmountable. Trust your guts because people will doubt you. People might doubt what you think, what you're doing with your life. And that is a big part of the hero's journey because people don't understand. Nobody understands what you've been through, what you're going through, how you see the world. And that's why sometimes you'll have to go at it alone. But when you step into that new world, you'll get the supernatural aid. You will get people like Santana, like my other best friends, who will be there. And they will see you as this new person and who you could ultimately be. And they will help you. And you will get through it. But you got to trust that still small voice inside of you that speaks not in words, but in feelings. And to do that, you got to listen. Before this, my cheeks are a bit red because I was at the Cento, which is the bathhouse. And across the street from me, sauna, cold plunge, jacuzzi. It's glorious. Japan. And I was just sitting there, just thinking. And it's like a meditation. And a big part of this is I'm off of social media right now. I'm not drinking alcohol for at least 3 months of each. I think I'm doing 6 months. I am doing 6 months sober. And it's great. It's clarity. You could actually create consistent improvement just as a productivity tool, just to complete something, to get better at something, to see progress. But just the mental clarity of knowing that that's not a distraction. I know the answer if I ever want to drink or if I ever want to go on social media. It's like, I'm not doing that right now. And the distraction of social media is a distraction from a lot of things, and perhaps our own emotions, just like our pain, distracts us from what we're actually feeling. So taking time off of that, besides YouTube, but Instagram and stuff, just while I'm doing this, is really important. And today, thinking about just direction, where I'm moving with certain things, and my gut was telling me one thing very strongly, but I still kind of reasoned against it. I was trying to make some kind of counter arguments, and something was telling me so strongly that the other decision was the way. Sorry, that sounds quite mysterious and vague, but take some time. You got to take time to actually sit with yourself and listen to what your inner voice is telling you. And what I realized just the last couple of days is that I had the initial reaction to this situation. And then I started kind of reasoning, but that initial reaction is all we need to know. It's the primal instinct inside of us that tells us what is right or wrong, or just what we connect with truly. And we got to listen to that. You must sit still. You must meditate on those things and really think about what your gut is trying to tell you. Is it telling you to heed the call? Is it fear that is holding you back from making this decision? What is it? If it truly doesn't feel right, which something in me feels with the decision I'm working on, you'll know that, as opposed to I'm just, maybe I should do this thing, and it helps to talk to people like Santana, but trust your gut. It will hardly lead us astray. Seriously. It's who we are. It knows us, and it's feeling. Many things in life we cannot explain with words. The gut speaks emotion. Trust it. Go with it. And when you think you have made a decision, make it. Don't sit in indecision for weeks, months, years. Make the decision, because the only wrong decision is no decision. So once you have the feeling, go with it. Take a path and walk down it instead of sitting there forever just hoping something's going to happen or just debating back and forth. Go with something and see what happens. You could only learn from the experience if you make a decision. So trust your gut, sit with it, question it, but then at a certain point, make the decision and go. And then life opens up. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't, but at least you took a chance. You made the decision. Like I was saying before, how this is a difficult season. It has also been the most beautiful and meaningful that I could ever hope for. Just realizing that this is why I'm here, being easier on myself, not having to just put this pressure on myself that I have to do a bunch of stuff or I have to be perfect right now or at all. Like, I'm just questioning why these things are important to me, that I thought were important to me, to be perfectionist and just doing all this stuff. Be easy on yourself. And what's been really helpful is just this gratitude practice, because like I was in the sauna today at the Sento and just kind of meditating, and just what I'm learning about this other, it's kind of Dr. Don Sarno and then Dr. Joe Dispenza, a couple of doctors, neuroscientist. He talks about how to change your life is, I'm using his meditation. There is nothing that exists beyond this moment. Everything we know about ourselves is a reflection of the past or a reflection of the predictable future. Because if we wake up and we think the same things, we do the same things, the future is already predetermined. It'll be exactly like the past. The only place where we could change and make real change is right here in the present. Endless possibilities exist in this moment, but we have to be willing to change something. Because if we do exactly what we've done, we'll get what we've always gotten. And this is big with back pain and reprogramming my brain right now. Every time I get back pain, I have to treat, like, instead of just worrying, catastrophizing, it's like, no, I'm not going to deal with this anymore. I know there's nothing wrong with my body. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to protect me, but I'm not going to take it anymore. And the prefrontal cortex, what us humans are gifted with, has to consciously fight against the limbic brain, the animal lizard brain, and show it who is in charge by speaking out loud that I'm not going to take it anymore. I know what you're trying to do, but there's nothing wrong with me. I am safe. Because a lot of this comes from childhood and not feeling safe. The nervous system is in constant fight or flight mode. And I'm reprogramming my brain to realize that I am safe, that I don't need the protection, that I need the emotions. I have to feel them. I want them to rise because I can deal with them. And I have to. And that is an example of being in the present moment and using it as a way to veer from the known path that I've been walking for the last 6 years and redirect into the unknown, where all possibility and opportunity exists. And there's throughout the day, whenever we have those um, predictable thought patterns, the inner critic who tells us we're not good enough, smart enough, whatever, just repeats this nonsense, we have to take control, and we have to be where we are in that moment instead of living in the past or the future. Take control of where you are and be there. Make change in the moment. Nothing exists beyond right now, besides right now. And it can be tough, you know. So much stuff I'm trying to work on, but none of it means anything. All there is this moment. All there is me sitting in front of this camera right now, making this video. Day was the day. It was a successful day, whatever that means. But all there is now. And what we could do in this moment is direct our energy and our attention towards gratitude and towards the future that we want instead of the one that we expect. And I've just been walking around my neighborhood lately. The sun was shining today. And I was just like in awe. And the last 2 days of dealing with this just kind of difficult moment, it didn't really matter. It's like, that's hard, but it'll pass. It is what it is. Think about everything you have. Think about how lucky you are to be here, to have a body that works, to have a body that is getting better and healing every day, to have life before you. We all have that because we all have the opportunity to change, to create real, lasting change in our lives. Think about what you're truly grateful for. The things that we could all share. The sun, just being able to move, the season that you're in. Cherish every step of what you're going through. If it's not easy, and if it is a beautiful season that is not, if you're not in the belly of the whale, cherish that. Be there for it. Truly appreciate where you've been, where you are, and, pay more attention to where you want to go. So that's really it. So thinking I've been on the other side of the in the strange world this whole time, and I've just stepped through the door, just stepped through the threshold, going inward. It's incredibly exciting, and man, I'm just grateful for every day, cherishing this journey. Truly, no matter how hard it gets, it is absolutely beautiful. I appreciate it so much. Thanks, y'all.